Okay, friends, today we are going to be talking about how to analyze a nutrition label. And this is because nutrition labels tell us a lot about the different biomolecules that are found in that food. You're going to need this sheet. It looks like this. It has a little nutrition label on it. And you can use this for any nutrition label that you have. So we're going to start by recording the serving size in grams. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I've got my nutrition label right here. And the first most important thing is to notice the serving size. And we want to know how many grams are in one serving because we are going to be looking at the numbers here that are in grams or milligrams, but it's still a unit of grams. These percentage daily value, that's saying if you are an average size human and you eat an average diet, you should on average have about 100% of your daily fat needs. This food would provide 0 of that 100% need. On the other hand, it would provide 12% of your dietary fiber needs for the day. But we also know that not everyone is an average human. In fact, most people are not average humans and they don't have average diets. And those diets are biased. They're biased towards the diets of the scientists who put those standards into place. And so they might not be representative of what you would eat, say, in a different climate or if you have a different set of foods that are available to you. So we start with our number of grams per serving so that we know what we're actually looking at here. Now, information that we have on here is we have the calories. Calories is actually a measure of energy. It's how much energy there is from high energy bonds in the food. And notice that it's the number of calories per serving. So if you were to eat 100 grams of whatever this food is, one serving, you would have 40 calories of energy. That's how many high energy bonds there's going to be in that 100 grams of food. Energy is not matter, and matter is not energy. So calories are energy, but the rest of these things down here, these are matter. They're talking about the biomolecules that are available in this food. One biomolecule that we've learned about is fat, also known as lipids. And in this food, there are 0 grams of fat. Well, this makes the math really easy, but let's go through it just so that we can see how it works anyway. What you're going to do to calculate the percentage of the food that is fat, not the percentage that you need to eat, but the percentage of the food that is made up of fat biomolecules, you need to take the grams of the nutrient, in this case 0, divide that by the grams per serving, and multiply that by 100, and that will give you the percentage of the food that is fat. In this case, it's going to be 0%, because 0 divided by 100 times 100, still 0. The next main biomolecule that we have on here is carbohydrates. And there are 10 grams of carbohydrate in 100 grams of this food. So to figure out the percentage, we're going to take our 10 grams of carbohydrate, the number listed here. We're going to divide that by 100 grams because that's the serving size. So grams of nutrient divided by grams per serving times 100. And that is telling me that there are 10% of this food that is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are polymers, and they're polymers that are made of the monomers of sugar, and there are different types of sugar. So there are simple sugars, which 5 of these 10 grams are simple sugars. Then there's fibrous sugars, things like cellulose that your body can't digest, but it's still made of sugars that are bonded together. So that is a type of carbohydrate. And those add to 8, and there are 10 total grams of carbohydrate, which means that there are 2 other grams of carbohydrate that are included in this total, but they're just not specified. And those are going to be your complex carbohydrates that are non-fibrous. So fiber is something that your body is not going to be able to digest in the same way. Complex carbohydrates are carbohydrates that are made of simple sugars bonded together, so your body's going to be able to break them down into simple sugars. It's just going to take some digestive process to be able to do that. Now, the last main biomolecule on here are our proteins. 1 gram of this food per serving is protein, so our calculation here is 1 gram divided by my 100 grams per serving times 100, and that's going to equal 1%. So 1% of this food is protein. Now you'll notice that there are a bunch of other things on here. Our total fat is broken down into saturated and trans fat. Those are just 2 different types of fat, and depending on how many double bonded carbons there are, it's going to change how much hydrogen there are in those fat molecules. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but those are just 2 different types of fat. Sodium is salt, something that's really important for our bodies, but it's not actually a food in that it doesn't have high energy bonds, so it's not going to be contributing to the total number of calories. Also notice that this is measuring in milligrams, so there's not even 1 gram of sodium out of our 100 grams here. And then we also have some vitamins and minerals. These are things that are in food, but they are not biomolecules. They are things that we need in our cells in order to function properly, but they are not major components of cells. So cells are made up primarily of fats and carbohydrates and proteins. And so that's what we're going to be looking at when we're analyzing our nutrition label. Now, food is more than just biomolecules. A lot of foods are actually mostly water. So all of your cells, all animal cells, all plant cells, they contain water. And so water is going to be important in the structure of our cells, and unless the food is completely dried out, there is going to be some water in the food. To figure out how much of the food is water, the percentage that is water, what you have to do is you have to add up all of these percentages, and then we're going to subtract that from 100. So our total percentage of the food is going to equal 100%. So we're going to start with 100%, but we're going to subtract the amount of the food that is fat plus the amount of the food that is carbohydrate plus the amount of the food that is protein. And if we do the math on that, it's going to be 100 minus 11, which means that this food is 89% water. So now that you know how to analyze a food label, first of all the instructions that you need are here. But now that you know how to analyze this food label and what each of these things are, you have some food labels on the back, and you are going to analyze those food labels and fill out this table here in order to record the amount of fat, carbs, protein, water, and of course how much energy there is in that food as well. So go ahead and copy these into your notebook, and let's get started on those calculations.